Greetings, YouTube. The doctor is in. Dr. Urias Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Marvel Contest of Champions. And today we are going to present our tech tier list. So this is the third tier list I've done. First we did Mystics, then we did Science, now we're going to do Techs. I don't really do like a top 10. We've got like a top 11-ish that we're going to talk about today. I'm going to, obviously from the thumbnail, Red Skull is going to be my number one. We're going to talk about who's on there. We're going to talk about all their kind of, I call them shticks. That is the major points or major things that they can do. We're going to talk all about all that. But I want you to stay tuned. All right, let's get into it. But first, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a question or comment. And don't forget to hit that notification bell. And don't forget to share the video either. I keep on forgetting to say all that stuff. We got a storm outside. It's thundering a lot. I'm hoping that this video is not going to cut out on me while we're doing this. Okay, so we are having to go back to Aunt May because Khonshu's Ankh is dead in the water right now. Most of the champs that are on my list are here anyway, and that's okay. The only one that's not on here is Jack-O-Lantern. So let's talk about it's essentially our top 13. So here are all of our champs. So I go through this, and I'll tell you whether they come available as a 6-star. Let's see here. A 6-star, a 7-star, whether I have ranked them or not. Some of these champs I have a no on because I actually don't have them or they're not awakened. And then I'll give you a rank that they have. And I've got like my top 11, but I've got a couple of ones that are close to the top 11, some honorable mentions. And we'll talk about Iron Man and Hulkbuster. So I have both of these champions, but I do not have either one of them awakened. So I don't necessarily rank up unawakened champions. So I kind of leave them as they are. So Iron Man got a rework, I think about a year ago. He gets armor ups. He's got this arc reactor thing that he does, which can do a lot of damage. If we go in here to Iron Man, here he is right here. And he's got his arc reactor. So when I'm going to be looking over at the screen over here because I can read it better. So when reaching 12 or more stacks of armor ups, and he gets a lot of armor ups. He can get up to 20, and he's got a certain percent chance to gain an armor up when blocking or when struck. So when he has 12 or more of them, the arc reactor activates and it gets 100 reaction charges. And then it ramps his attack rating up massively. And then he gets an additional bonus to his attack rating for every armor up above 12 stacks. And essentially, all his special attacks are the same thing, except for his special 3. So each hit invalidates 3 Pro-S's on, so that's mainly for mutants. And if he's got the arc reactor going on activation, consume 25 reactor charges, increasing the potency of special attacks and debuffs by 100. So essentially, you just want to hit them and then keep going with the specials. It's pretty simple. That's him. He's one of our honorable mentions. The other honorable mention that I have here is Hulkbuster. And on our list here, his big shticks are, again, he gets armor ups. And they have these passives, gain an indefinite armor up. And then every 15 seconds, he gains another armor up. And then we also have bleed and poison resistance. That's a big one. While fighting as, where is that? Attack, self-repair, gain an armor up. Fighting non-cosmic champions. incoming bleed and poison debuffs when he's fighting non-cosmic champions have a 25% potency decrease. That's important because if you've got the recoil masteries on, he actually will heal a little bit. So he won't do as... They'll both count as debuffs. They'll just be reduced. That's a big thing. Shocks on heavy attacks, and then armor breaks on all specials. And one of his big shticks is this special 2. So it has a 100% chance to power lock, severing the target's flow of power for 3 seconds. And if the opponent's block is broken by this attack, because it's unblockable, you want to hit them while they're blocking on this, all beam attacks have a 100% chance to inflict power burn, draining 1 bar power per hit. So you can really do a lot of nastiness with that. All right, so let's get into our list. And at number 11 is Jack-O-Lantern. I don't even have him. So he is available as a 6-star. He is available as a 7-star. I don't even have him. But he has a few things that make him worthwhile. So let's take a look here. I've got him. You can look up his stuff. So we want to do that. You can look up all his stuff regardless of whether you have him or not. So we're going to view his info. And big things to keep in mind for Jack-O-Lantern. He can parry non-contact attacks. That is a big deal. Instant incinerates on crits. So he doesn't actually do crits. He instantly incinerates on crits. So that is going to be when Jack-O-Lantern would land a critical hit, he instead inflicts an instant incinerate, dealing a burst of 4,376 damage. That's a big deal. He is inflamed, so every 3 damaging effects the opponent is inflicted with, or passive damage effects Jack-O-Lantern is inflicted with, gain an inflamed. For every inflamed, you get the following. Your crit rating goes up, crit damage rating goes up, your ability accuracy goes up, and your energy resistance go up. While inflamed passive is active, opponent's damaging effects suffer 100% reduced ability accuracy when hitting Jack-O-Lantern. So that's a big deal too. And then he can do a bunch of different debuffs with a lot of his attacks. Light attacks inflict a cowardice. Special attack, special 2 inflicts 2 incinerate and poison debuffs each. So you can do quite a bit of those, and that's really important as well. And then he's got precision on heavy, and that's where he does all of his damages. You want to hit with the heavy, and then you want to go into one of your special attacks. And so the first hit grants a 2,750 precision for 3 seconds, and then you go right from that into like special 1, which pauses all of these, or you can go into your special 2, which inflicts incinerate and poison debuffs, or you can go right into special 3. It doesn't really matter. And that's kind of his shtick is you do a bunch of instant damage, and then right when you're getting ready to throw your special, you parry, you heavy, and then from the heavy, you go right into your special attack. Parrying non-contact attacks is super important. That's a big one. Shuri is number 10 on our list. Her attacks are non-contact, which is very important. And she gets these matrix charges, which she can hit and cause shocks on the opponent. Those are shock debuffs. If she heavies them, she refreshes the shocks. And she has these shock passives. So we can actually look at her on... where is Shuri here? Shuri is right here. And so on special attacks, refresh any active shock effects and pause them for the duration of the special attack. Predictive targeting AI ensures Shuri's special attacks cannot be evaded. That's a big one. Each hit grants another matrix charge and an indefinite passive precision, plus an extra one. And if you hit, these passive precisions are converted over into passive shocks, which is what we're talking about right here. These passive shocks, which do a ton of damage. It can be untouchable after she gets a number of her matrix charges, and she can block unblockable specials if she is awakened. So that's really the big things for me are the non-contact attacks and the unblockable. She's good on story stuff like long fights because she can stack up these shock passives and do a ton of damage. And she can refresh them too. All right, so number 9 is Ultron. And the big things we have for Ultron, he is a robot, which means he is immune to poison and bleeds. He has this function ability. So let's take a look at that. Ultron is, and it's the Age of Ultron, not the classic Ultron. So he's got these functions, all attacks. Every 5th attack is a guaranteed critical hit damage. So there's every time something says function, it'll give you a count, and then you will do some extra damage while the functions are going. So trigger function damage for each unique function Ultron has utilized during the fight. Cooldown 5 seconds per function. So the earlier you do this heavy, the greater the cooldown will be. And so he will start with a armor up. He will heal if he goes down below a certain amount. He's got the functions of damage, which cause a bunch of damage and they inflict bleed debuffs. He's got the critical, and he has an armor up. So every 4th block attack grants an armor up, and that is also a function. And then you've got these special 1 and special 2. The attack bonus granted by function cauterized lingers 10 seconds after the attack is finished. Any function damage debuffs triggered during this attack are doubled. So that's a big deal. So you want to get as many functions as you can, and then essentially just hit the special 2. And then he also has bleed and or degen, so he'll bleed everybody except if they're a mutant, and then he'll degen them. So for instance, Colossus is immune to bleed, but he will degen Colossus, which is a really important thing. He can do a ton of damage and rip through everything. It's more damagey than it is utility, but nonetheless, I like him. All right, number 8 is Arcade. Arcade is available as a 6-7 star. I do have Arcade ranked to 3, as I do Ultron and Shuri. Arcade has this auto block mechanic. He gets these Arcade tokens, and they allow him to auto block. He has a ton of debuffs. On his heavy attack, he puts down like a pit of poison, and if you can get the guy to stand on it for like a second, they will get a poison. And then he has these corner booby traps, which are super important. That if you get somebody caught in the corner, you can heavy them. The booby trap will explode. It will stun them, and then you can just basically corner lock them and keep going almost indefinitely. And then he puts a bunch of debuffs on with a special 1 or special 2. The special 1 will do poisons and shocks. The special 2 will do incinerates and bleeds. Tons of fun with him. You can get somebody, like I said, in the corner. You can corner lock them. And once the booby trap stops working, he'll have enough of his tokens that if they actually try to hit you, you'll auto block it, and then you'll get everything reset again. All right, our next champion is Guardian. He is available as a 6 and 7 star. And these are tier lists for 7 stars. I forgot to mention that. I do have him ranked to 3. He can parry non-contact attacks. Super important again. Guardian does not crit. He instant shocks on a crit. So that is another kind of flavor thing, and that's a theme that happens with a lot of the tech champions. In addition, Guardian has these force fields. And here he is right here. And a force field charge lasts indefinitely, up to 3 charges. Any additional ones last for 22 seconds. Gain 1 every 12 seconds. If Guardian has an armor up, gain 15% chance per force field charge to auto block. So if you got 3, you'll have a 45% chance to auto block. All hits opponents from the opponent's special attack. Gain a plus 15% chance against mutants. This auto block can reach 75% max and is considered a well-timed block. So with mutants, it's essentially doubled. which is nice. If you hit with a fourth light attack, it will consume those charges and power drain. I almost never do that. And heavy will also power drain as well. So we kind of leave that alone. But the big thing about him is he has bleed resistance if he is awakened, and he is high sig, which makes him very recoil friendly. He has crit damage resistance, a lot of crit damage resistance, a lot of block proficiency, and a lot of energy resistance. He is a beast. And the force fields make it even better because he's got this armor up as well. And essentially with him, you just want to get in as many crits as you can to get off those instant shocks. You've got the auto block. If you've got enough force field charges, you've got the bleed resistance. And then you want to basically go into your special 3 and then into your special 2 as soon as you can after that. That's a rotation with a lot of champs where you go special 3 and then special 2. All right, our next champ, number 6, is Prowler. He is available as a 6 and 7 star. I actually do have him ranked to rank 3 now, so we're going to change that to a yes. And he is my number 6 ranked. He is immune to bleed and incinerate, so almost all of these champions have some kind of utility ability. He is immune to falter. That is really important because Kabam is putting in a bunch of, like, if you well-time block twice during this timer, you will get faltered, or every 10 seconds, you will get faltered. So he is a really good champ to bring in for all of that. Medium attacks are non-contact attacks and cannot be evaded. That's super important too. He ruptures on a crit, so he doesn't do crits. Again, it's a theme with these guys. And then he's got this gas pellet and this power creep ability. So let's take a look at that. Prowler is right here. So he's got gas pellets. Prowler's second medium inflicts a falter passive for 3 seconds. Pause during his special attacks, which cannot be inflicted if the opponent is already faltered. If it causes a miss, it goes into cooldown. If Prowler's special attacks would be punished, he inflicts a falter passive. So once the opponent is faltered, they are more aggressive. So that's an important thing. And then he's got these power creeps. So after the opponent activates a special attack, power drain their remaining power and inflict a power lock lasting 1.5 seconds after the final hit of their attack. And for every 1.1% of the opponent's max power that is drained or burned, gain 1 power creep charge. On Prowler's special attack activation, each charge is converted into a Fury passive, attack rating for 10 seconds, pause during special attack. So basically you want to get, you feed off the opponent doing their special attacks. So you figure out which one you want to bait out. You bait a bunch of them out, you drain out their remaining power, and if you do that, you can put an incinerate on them when they have 0 power. And then with the heavy attack here it is right here. And then basically you go in, you wait till you get a bunch of these charges, and you go in and you do like your special 2 or your special 3 and just do a ton of damage, which is just really cool. All right. Ironheart is next. She is available as a 6 star and a 7 star. I do have her. I do have her ranked to 3, and she is number 5. She has a pre-fight ability, which is really important, which allows her to either do a incinerate or a rupture. And the reason that is important is because if you have incinerate immune champs, like say a Colossus, you can put a degen on them instead. Or a rupture, I'm sorry. You can put that on them instead. She's got tons of armor ups. She's got her repulsor attacks. So let's take a look at that, because that's an important part of her shtick. Ironheart right here. And she's got her repulsor debuffs. So again, it is dealing damage over 18. And they last forever too. That's another great thing. They last for a long time. She's got her armor up. And she's got her target lock. So when you get enough of these repulsor debuffs on somebody, then they will target lock. And then she's got her heavy attack, which can do a suppression. First inflicts a non-stacking suppression debuff, reducing combat power rate by 30% for 15 seconds. So that's really long. And essentially, you want to get as many of the repulsor debuffs on somebody as you can. And then you can hit them with a special one, which will make them vulnerable. But I like to go in and just do the special 3. And she gains an attack rating for each repulsor debuff on. And it does a ton of damage. All right, our next champion is Infamous Iron Man, available as a 6 and 7 star. And I do have him ranked to 3. He is number 4. So another one of these that doesn't do crits. He does instant shocks on crits. He has a special armor up. He does his shocks also on medium attacks. And he has a Dr. Doom mechanic where if the opponent has a shock and you go to use a heavy, it will stun them and then you can heavy them right away. And once you remove the shock, he goes into Aura of Iron. So let's look at that. That's a really important part of his kit. Aura of Iron passive. The Aura of Iron cannot trigger while the Infamous Iron Man does not have his personal armor up buff on. And the aura is paused during both champion special attacks. Infamous Iron Man special attacks are unblockable while he's Aura of Iron. Each time he inflicts one of his personal shocks, it is immediately replaced by an instant energy power burn that burns a percentage of the opponent's current power based on the potency of the replaced shock, dealing energy damage to the opponent per percent of max power burn. And then Infamous Iron Man becomes passively unstoppable and stun immune against the last hit of incoming specials 1, 2, and heavy attacks. This is all if he has this on. If you go to the special 3, it will turn on for a very long time. If you just do the replace my shocks, then it only lasts for like a second. It's not very long. So the shtick with him is you go to special 3, put the Aura of Iron on, and then if it was already active, the opponent is partially special locked for the Aura of Iron's duration. So you can do that, and then you can go to your special 2 and just do a ton of damage to them. So that's a big one. I think the big ones for him out of this are the instant shock off crits and the Aura of Iron itself. All right, number 3, we have Lady Deathstrike. She is available as a 6 and 7 star. I do have her ranked to rank 3. She is bleed and poison resistant, which means she is recoil friendly for masteries. She inflicts ruptures on her attacks, which very few things are immune to ruptures. She's got this ferocity mechanic, so she gets these ferocity charges, and this is very important because it's part of her kit. She gets these ferocity charges, and when inflicting a rupture or when struck, gain a ferocity charge +1 for every armor up. She does have some armor ups, but like almost all these guys have armor ups. At 75, gain ferocity passive for 3 seconds or 9 as a defender, but start paused. While it's active, she gains a bonus to her attack rating and special attacks become passively unblockable. So essentially, you want to get to the point where this hits, and then you want to go right into one of your specials. I like to use the special 2, but you can do what you need to do. Another piece of her is she has this machine body. So start each fight with an armor up, and every 25 hits in the combo meter gain another armor up. So it gives her increasing armor, 20% chance to remove a stack or when blocking ferocity. And then her regenerate cannot be modified. All heal block effects on Lady Deathstrike are immediately removed. She's got her nanobots, which allow her to regenerate during special attacks, and she regenerates almost all of the damage that happens during special attacks. And I think the big thing that I like about her is she has heal block. That is a big thing for me. Champs that do heal blocks is a big deal. I really like the ability to shut off an opponent's ability to heal. It can be super annoying if you've got champions that have nodes on them that trigger all kinds of regens, and you can't do anything about it. You're not doing any damage because they keep regenerating. You can just turn that off with her. All right, my number 2 is Omega Sentinel. She is available as a 6 and 7 star. I do have her. She is at rank 3. She is bleed and poison regen. So if she gets a bleed or a poison, she regens. She doesn't get rid of it. She regens. which means she's also recoil friendly, really recoil friendly. On her last medium attack, she will put a debuff on. On a heavy attack, she will pause all her debuffs. She gets armor ups, and which give her, which make her very, 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 very tough. In addition, after she puts a certain number of debuffs on, here she is right here, she will put incinerates on. All of her incinerates deal a ton of damage, so that's a great thing. She's got this adaptive body, she's got this nanotech, and all of her special attacks, when activated, all of Omega Sentinel's personal debuffs are paused for the duration of the special attack and for 2 seconds afterwards. Special 1 refreshes all of them. Special 2 will do incinerates, and special 3s will do burst damage for each debuff. So you want to keep debuffs going by alternating between like a medium, light, medium, and then a heavy. And once you do the heavy, you switch over to one of her other pre-fights. So she's got 3 different debuffs she can put on. And a really good one that she's got is a tracker. So she can avoid champions that go like invisible and they can't be hit anymore. All right, my number 1 is Red Skull. He is available as a 6 and 7 star. I have ranked him to rank 3 and further ranked him to rank 4. He is one of my rank 4s. He has some immunities, and let's take a look at those immunities because they're really important and part of his kit. Always active. He's immune to Nullify, Fate Seal, and Stagger effects. Against mutants, his ability accuracy cannot be modified. So if he is going up against, because there are some cosmic champions that will do some of these things, but especially mystic champions. So he is really good at that. The second thing is he has an armor up, and he gets armor ups as he hits, as he gets in. His combo meter goes up, and as his or his opponent's power goes up. Start each fight with 5, each increasing armor rating by 300 when either champion fills a bar of power. Gain 1 armor up buff, and then part of his awakened ability is he gets another one for every 10th basic attack. And he's really, because of that, it's really important to have him awaken. He doesn't necessarily need to be high sig. He gets to charge himself up a little bit more with a heavy attack, but it's really important to have this first one. So that's a really big thing. Now, his armor ups also kind of go hand in hand with his power drain on block. Blocking a basic attack. Consume a personal armor up to power drain 10% of the opponent's max power. Max power. Not 10% of a bar of power, 10% of a max power, which is a lot. And you deal damage for each armor up on Red Skull. So if he's got 5 armor ups, he's going to be doing about 5,000, 6,000 points of damage. Heavy attacks, a big thing, and I think I've got this on my thing. Yes, big thing. Heavy attacks inflict a very long heal block, and I love the heal block. So he also has his awakened ability, which we already talked about, which is that 10th basic attack grants him another armor up. It's all about getting armor ups and just having the opponent hit you into your block and just do damage to themselves and drain away their health. Now, I like in his rotation, I like to go almost to a special 3. Not quite to a special 3, but almost to a special 3. I will hit the special 2 so that when I'm done with it, I will almost be to a special 1. So what that does is on activation, he gains an unstoppable for 2 seconds plus half a second per armor buff. So that can actually last a long time. And the duration is paused until a special attack ends. And then each hit inflicts a shock debuff over 6 seconds plus 1 second per armor up buff on Red Skull. So it will put a very hefty shock on them that will last a while. And then you essentially want to go right into your special 1. So on activation, you get this auto block, which is, it's nice. It's not great, but it's nice. And then the first hit pauses all shock debuffs. That's important. And then each hit deals a burst of energy damage, and you deal additional burst of energy damage if the opponent is suffering from a shock debuff. So special 2, almost to a special 3, and then work your way very quickly up to a special 1, hit it, and you're going to take your opponent out. He does tons and tons of damage if you do that particular rotation. He's great on defense. He has non-contact attacks. Well, they're kind of non-contact attacks. So each armor up buff gives him a ton of it gives them a ton of attack rating, critical resistance, energy resistance, and -10 opponent stun ability accuracy, which means that he starts with 5, so he's got a 50% chance to stop stuns right off the bat. That's awesome. So he is great on defense as well because of that, and you don't want to hit into his block because it'll take your power away and it'll cause damage, and it causes a ton of damage. All right, those are my top 10, 11, 12-ish champions. I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch everybody